nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. Go ahead and subscribe, click like, and drop a comment. Now, I said that I would do an update concerning the Takia incident, and more information has been brought out. Now, the initial story was that she didn't steal. It was someone in a white car. There were groups of people in the store. She left out the store. She actually picked up a bottle of liquor and then put it back. So that's the initial story that was placed out there. But then they released the footage, and I said, once they release the footage, then we can go from there. Now they have released the footage, so they are saying that one of the young women out of the three is Takaya, and that she was stealing out of a Kroger's. Now, to be honest, I do recognize the checkout lines, but it doesn't seem like a Kroger's that I've ever been to. But this is supposed to be the footage that was taken that showed her taking alcohol and then exiting the store without actually paying for it. And to be honest, when the ladies walked past the checkout, that is no different than I have seen when I told my story about how I've been watched in the store, but I noticed a group of people who were colorless boys walk out of the store same way, but nobody caught it. And now I'm wondering, did they catch it on camera and they just didn't care? And nobody said anything, because these cameras are crystal clear. And it also goes back to what I said. In this store, you have like really good cameras, so you can zoom in on their face. I'm sure they have the same cameras outside of the store where you can look where each lady got into the car. But I want to show the full video and then I'll go ahead and give my commentary. Okay, so that was the full video. And again, okay, now we know, and now we have video footage of who we believe to be Takaya and some two other ladies who took alcohol out of the store. Should you be stealing? Absolutely not. But stealing and theft on this level is a petty crime. It is, and it doesn't warrant police officers charging in like they're dealing with Dylan Roof, who has unleashed bullets on 8 people and then was taken to go get a Happy Meal and then taken to jail and protected. They stole liquor. Like I said, the cameras were crystal clear and it caught them walking in and then caught them walking out. And there are also cameras in the parking lot. So my question is, why not have all the footage that you can present to the court, then catch the ladies, the car tags, the license plates, what type of car, zoom in on that, and then catch them like that? Or you come to the door, you're not cussing, you're not yelling, you're not startling because, yes, they committed a crime. Yes, their emotions are heightened. So she was thinking, I'll just get away. Of course, she didn't want to open the door because she would have had the alcohol in her purse and then she would have been guilty and caught. So people trying to say that she tried to hit the police officer, and the question is, why would she try to hit a police officer? And I have a video that's showing that whole thing that happened, where she kind of swerved because she was going, when the police officer shot her, the car kind of went to the side and they kept yelling for her to get out of the car as if they hadn't shot her. And they were cussing and they broke the window, but you can tell how she was going around the police officer so she could get on the street and get away. Am I saying this is the best scenario? No. Does this warrant someone pulling out their weapon and shooting at someone? No, it doesn't. And also, I could not find any information on if it's protocol for a police officer to stand in front of a vehicle with their gun out, ready to shoot over petty crime. And the reason why I say it's petty crime is because it is. And also, is it okay to just shoot someone for stealing in general? Is that going to be what's standard across the board? Because, like I said, kids can walk out with candy. People may take something, and I'll tell this story. Now, I don't want to expose anyone, but this happened a long time ago. And there was a couple with some kids, right? These kids were good kids. The family, working family, but they could not make ends meet. This family qualified for benefits, and there was some older kids and some younger kids. What happened was there was like all of these pennies and a little bit of money, and then the older kids were sent to the store to actually try and get something, right? But the amount of money that they had was not enough to really get anything. So the older kids told the younger children, don't say anything. And the older children ended up, taking certain things that they needed, and they only took what they needed to get to the next point where they would have money in the house where they could buy food. They stuffed the food in places on them, and they walked out, and they were not caught. And after that, I don't really know of them doing it again, but this was a point where they were really needing something because it was going to take a while for money to come in, because that's how under the poverty line that this family was. And the same thing is happening now. So for me to see these comments about a pregnant woman doing this or acting like petty theft of food and drink, we're not talking about big ticket items. We're not talking about people jumping into cars, designer cars, and driving off. We're not talking about people running in and getting TVs and things like that. People stealing food and drink, it doesn't bother me because I know of the situation that a lot of people are in. That's one. Two, these companies are not paying workers enough. And three, they write it off on their taxes. Like, a lot of companies will write off broken items and stolen items on their taxes. And I think what has people thinking this is the fact that a multi-billion-dollar company like Walmart will go and blame people for stealing as the reason why they have to shut their doors when it's not. It's because the economy is bad. The food is sitting in the stores rotting. I know I'm not the only one who has went into a store like Kroger's and saw nothing but rotten produce. People not in the stores buying much. In this case, people would say, well, she wasn't starving. She didn't need that liquor. I would agree. But she's in her early 20s. Nobody is taking consideration that she's young. You know, if she looked a certain way, people would take that into consideration, that she's young, she made a dumb decision, and the best decision would have been to scare her straight, not pull out your service weapon and take her life over, $75 to $125 worth of liquor. It's very interesting how when someone looks the way she does, it's the end of the world, you're a criminal, you're unreformable, and all of that. But then you had a judge. This is liquor, mind you. The store is not going to be out of any money for this. I mean, I really hope you're not sitting up here believing that people are stealing so much that that's the reason why there are so many shutdowns. I mean, if you're going to believe that, then you're going to believe that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, and that's why Iraq was invaded. But you had a young man who was in college who actually assaulted a girl. And they didn't want to give him any years because they didn't want to ruin his life, even though he ruined her life by doing that to her. And he got out in 3 months. But according to all of the comments that I'm reading, and I'm not just saying this is colorless people saying this, because it's not, that she deserved what she got because, one, she shouldn't have been stealing. Two, she was a bad mother for stealing, as if all of these people who are dropping these comments have never stole. And if they're going to tell you they've never stole, then they're lying through their teeth. That's one. But they are trying to say, well, she tried to run over the cop. They're always going to find an excuse. She didn't try and run over the cop because both of the cops were running after the car after he shot her. Because if she had went straight and pushed on, it would have knocked him on the ground. He wouldn't have been able to run up to the car with his partner. She swerved around him, tried to get away. He shot her. He put himself in position to be able to do that because, for the life of me, I have never seen a police officer literally go to the front of the car, place their hand on the hood with their gun pointed in one hand to shoot someone. I have never seen that. I think about all of the standoffs, all of the car chases that I have seen, but I have never seen a police officer do something like that. If you know a police officer, if you are a police officer, tell me if that's protocol or that's something normal you would do, would place yourself in front of a vehicle. I want to make my point perfectly clear. I do not agree with someone going into the store and stealing. One, especially if you are a melanated person, because you're going to be treated as if you tried to assassinate the president. That's one. Two, you can end up in a body bag and not in prison, because you're not going to be treated fairly. You're not going to be given the benefit of the doubt. You're not going to be seen as young and dumb and need to learn a lesson. That's just not going to happen. The last point is, do I agree with the cop shooting her because he felt like she was going to run him over? No, I don't. Because if that's a fear of yours, you wouldn't have walked in front of the car in the first place. Two, it's petty theft. It's not that serious. Three, you could have gotten the license plates from the cameras on the outside and you could have handled it that way. If there are any more updates with this case, I will post it when I see it, but I'll go ahead and leave it right here. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one.